Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pastor Bruce. Welcome to my podcast. Today I want to talk to you about a conversation I'm having online with an individual who said that the Bible is nothing more than fairy tales. And the only page missing is the first one that says, Once Upon a Time. Now, I have to think that this individual was born after 1980 because he has absolutely no clue of what the Bible talks about or what Jesus is about. And then I looked at his page, and on his page he said, the swamp is draining. God bless America. How can you say God bless America when the book that teaches us about God is full of fairy tales? See, ignorance is ignorance. I don't care who spouts it. Even the most smartest philosophers will spout out. But I want to understand, and I want you to understand where I'm coming from. As a Christian pastor, I don't believe everything in the Bible should be strictly adhered to, but I understand that it is a moral and an ethical code for us to live by. Now, to give you an explanation of that, first I have to talk about science. See, the church excommunicated science. They didn't want anything to do with science. Even though science proved that we rotate around the sun, that didn't matter. Even though science came out, and it's in the Bible, science came out and said, do not eat of the hooved animal, the pig. Why? Because if you don't cook pig properly, you get tapeworm. And if you get tapeworm and you don't pay attention to it, you lose a whole lot of weight and eventually you die. Because the tapeworm eats it all up inside. Some people back in the 40s and 50s used to eat tapeworms in order to keep themselves skinny. And they would go in and have an operation and have like 5 feet of tapeworm taken out of their system. I mean, talk about ignorance. And these were actors and actresses that wanted to stay slim and good looking on the movie screen. So understand that science tells us that. Science tells us that we hang in the night sky, in the Bible, hang in the night sky like an orb, meaning we're round. And science proved we're round. And when we launched spaceships up into the sky and we looked at the earth, we saw that we were round. Science proved the Bible to be correct. It proved that we shouldn't eat uncooked pork. Can we now eat pork? Yes, because we know the consequences. Man shall not sleep with man as he does with a woman. That's justifiable. Back then, because why? If you don't clean yourself, if you don't take care of yourself, what happens is you contract AIDS. We know that today. And people died off. So if you're going to sleep with a man like you do with a woman and you die, you can't help populate your, in this case, the Israelites. The Jews. You can't populate, you can't grow as a nation and as a people. So don't do that. Today we understand the consequences. We understand that we need to take precautions and we should work to keep clean and healthy while we're having relationships. And as long as we do that, AIDS may not grow in this country or around the world. And so that being the case, we have to understand that some things that the Bible tells us are true for a reason. And it is a moral and an ethical code to live by. Now, those individuals who are not being circumcised, they go out there and have homosexual contact and don't clean themselves up, well, there's a problem there because they've got to bring back that foreskin and they've got to clean under the foreskin. And if they don't, sexually transmitted diseases can occur, more so than an individual who's circumcised. Science has proven this. So why go against science, church? Believe science is there to help you. Now here's a more modern piece of information about science and Christianity, or the belief in God. See, Jesus tells us that we are all God's children, okay? And that we should love one another as God the Father loves us unconditionally. So is that true? Are we all God's children? Well, scientists went to the cesspool or the pool where supposedly man came from. Some might call it the Garden of Eden. And the indigenous species that are there, the ones that lived and have generated year after year and generation after generation, they took blood samples and they looked at their DNA. And so then they went to Europe and they went to other parts of the world and they took blood samples. And guess what? They're almost identical. The only difference is based on your characteristics. But the basic foundation of DNA is the same for all people, which means mankind came from one thing only. The Christians call it Adam and Eve. I kind of believe in the evolution of man. And I believe in Adam and Eve. They came here, but they came here as teachers. Different story, different time. But we all came from the same. No matter what color we are, no matter what language we speak, we all came from the same DNA, which means we're all connected as mankind. We are all brothers and sisters under God or your deity. And if that's the case, science has proven us right, that we are all God's children. Now the problem here, and I think Jesus said it correctly, he viewed man positively, not negatively, with negativity, excuse me. He saw most men as weak rather than wicked, more distraught rather than deprived. But no matter what their status, they were all God's children and his brethren, his brothers. We are all. Because you see, for Christians, if you believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and you believe that we are all the children of God, isn't the Son of God the child of God? Therefore, we are his relatives as well. We're brethren with him. So for Christians, you have to understand, he's not our God, he's our brother. And he came here to teach us. So when you come out and say that the Bible is fairy tales, you have no clue of the teachings of Jesus Christ. If you condemn the Bible in any way, shape, or form, first read it. And come back to me and tell me what you don't believe is right, and I'll try to explain it to you. Do I agree that everything? I might say you're absolutely right about that. That's wrong for today. But does that mean it was wrong when it was written? Okay? Think about that for a minute. Was it wrong at the time it was written? So when you sit there and say, this is wrong, tell me what you think is wrong and tell me why you think it's wrong. And we'll debate it. I've got no problem with that. And I'll even, if you want, if you give me permission, I'll mention your name on my podcast and we'll go over it. So understand that I'm not against any religion. Anything that teaches you a moral and an ethical code to learn to get along with one another and to respect one another, I don't care what your religious belief is. ISIS believes in Muhammad, who believes in hatred, who believes if you don't come along with us, you die. That's not what this is all about. Good versus evil. You either believe in Muhammad or Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ speaks of love, peace, and harmony. Muhammad believes in killing and beheadings. That if you martyr yourself, you'll get 77 virgins or 44 virgins. Let me tell you something. For most men, you already know, it's tough just with one woman. My God, can you imagine having 44 or 77, whatever the number is? I couldn't deal with that. One woman's enough. So understand, who do you want to follow? If you want to be Muslim and follow Allah, that's fine. Allah is God. God is the Father of all creation. Allah is the God of all creation. They're one and the same. And the Jews believe in God. God is the Father. Christians believe in God, the Father, and Jesus Christ, who came to teach us about peace, love, harmony, and getting along with one another. He never argued with a person's religious beliefs or philosophical beliefs. He went around and he listened and he talked with people who had different beliefs and he shared his beliefs. So when the apostles went out there, They already had an idea of what they were already talking about, because Jesus was already there talking to the people as a young man, and they didn't have any clue that he was the leader of the movement. So think about that. Think about the stories and think about the moral and ethical code that it tries to teach us, so that we can live as one race on this planet, one people on this planet, with no borders, no military, no police, because we govern ourselves. And we don't have some totalitarian or socialist or communist government dictating to us as individuals how we should be and act, because we listen to the creator of all living things. Understand that. That's what the goal is. And in Revelation, it talks about a one world government coming. I've said that before. The UN wants to have a one world government where they're in charge. And under that one world government, you will have the Antichrist. Well, what is the Antichrist? Someone who goes against what the teachings of God the Father is all about. And when that individual takes control, it's going to be 1,000 years of pain and suffering for a lot of people. And a lot of people will turn towards Christianity, and they will be beheaded, and they will be imprisoned, and they will be given a chip along with everybody else. The Christians, true Christians, will not accept the chip, and they will be beheaded or they will be killed, because that government will not tolerate anybody who goes against what they believe in. Oh, who's that sound like? Oh, that sounds like ISIS, who follow Muhammad. You either believe the way we do or we kill you. Thank you very kindly. It's over with. And the UN wants control. We need to fight to have a one world government until we can have open borders where we can live in peace and harmony. And we can't do that if we are not united, not only as a country, but united as a world. Now, I have a FundMe page, crowdfunding page here. And I don't care what country you live in. I don't care what your economical status is. In order for us to grow and get the word out, the truth about how we should be, how we should act, and how we should get along, we need to have the funding in order to be able to do that. We need to be able to build this platform so it reaches the world, other than through YouTube and Google and Facebook. So for that, for anyone outside America, if you want to give, I don't care. Go ahead and give. If you can't find my crowdfunding page, then go to amvoice.net. amvoice.net is my website that I'm trying to build up. It has the donation page. You give to that. That'll come to me as well, and I will invest that the way it needs to be invested. Now, how can you trust me? Well, 20 years as a military policeman enforcing laws, so I respect law. I respect the rule of law. I also have a degree in accounting where I've owned my own business since 2005, so I know how to account for, maintain, and control fundings and spend it the way it should be spent. And of course, I'm a Christian pastor. I have one authority above me, and that's God the Father, and He doesn't want me to steal from you. That's part of the Ten Commandments. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods. I'm not going to do that from you people. The money will go to make things better and to speak out. The more you give, the better we can work. Now, they say ask for $1 to $5. 3% goes to the bank. So $1 is 70 cents. If you want to pay the bank that's fine. I asked for $12.50. $12.50, I get $10 out of that. Pretty much everything else goes to the bank. A few extra pennies. We can buy small things in order to help. But the $10 will go into a fund. That fund, when we have the money, then we'll go out and we'll buy the boards, and we'll rent or buy a place where we can put up our antenna, and we can start reaching out to the rest of the world. And we can connect with other radio stations as well. This is the ground floor. This is the business in the garage, the startup of this corporation or this company that's going to go and tell the world we need to live in peace and harmony. And we need to work together. So your money. Now for Americans, listen, I'd love you to give, but we're having major disaster problems down there in Texas. So if you give to them, I'm not going to be mad at you in any way, shape, or form. If you write and say, I'd love to give to you, but I'm giving to Texas, God bless your heart for giving to those who are in need. I'm not in need of money. I'm in need of money to build my business. So when that disaster is over with and you've got a few bucks in your pocket you want to give, again, you can go to amvoice.net and find my page. Help me to donate, help me to build that page up to spread the word around worldwide, as well as through this podcast, which I hope to one day turn into a radio station that will be picked up around the world. So with that in mind, I pray for each and every one of you that you are successful in whatever you do, that you're able to learn how to handle your money and take care of yourself and your families, and that you live in peace and harmony with your neighbors. That if your neighbor needs a hand, give him a hand. I remember a story about a young black man, and I don't remember what state he was in, but he was bored. He didn't do anything, so his mother suggested he go out and help a neighbor. So he went out and he cut a neighbor's lawn. Next thing you know, he's got this business of cutting the neighbor's lawns, not asking for any money, just giving of himself. And his lawnmower broke down. So another guy came up and said, here, and fixed his lawnmower for no cost so that he can continue to share the godly love for his neighbors. This is what America is about, people. America is about all of those people running down into Texas and pulling the elderly and the sick out of the flood areas, saving the animals that are down there, the pets, the beloved pets of those people, saving them and bringing them to safety. For the volunteers that run down and hand out blankets and give them dry clothes and fix meals for them so that they have a good, nourishing meal. And for those individuals who open their homes and give of themselves by opening their homes to give people a place to live and have dignity for themselves. Okay? I understand all of this. And someday I'll talk to you about my time when I was down in Florida in 1980 for the Cuban refugee camps. And I understand what it's like because I've seen it. I haven't lived it other than being in the midst of it. I haven't been the one that's been in poverty with no money and no food, no clothing. I've struggled in my time. I've worked hard in my time to get what I have. But I've been there. I've seen it. And I understand what these people who are now homeless are going through, because it happened with the Cubans in Florida. And my heart goes out to each and every one. But I am strengthened in my resolve for peace and harmony when I hear of all of the volunteers who don't care about color or about nationality, are down there working to save those who are in need of being saved. That's what America's about, people. That's what America's about. Not violence, not hate, but love, concern for your fellow man. The rest of the world wants to destroy that. The rest of the world wants socialism to rule this world. I want a godly world. I want a world of love and peace and harmony. I want a world without armies, without borders, without police departments, without governments. We can govern ourselves. We teach ourselves to be good. Our educational system today isn't doing that. It's teaching us to be selfish and self-centered. But anyway, I'm carrying on. Thank you again for listening. God bless, and we'll talk tomorrow.